Hello, and welcome to Your Holistic Earth podcast. My name is Kat Halushka, and I will be your host for today. I'm so excited. On this episode, we're going to have Mandy Jeffley. First, let me tell you all about Your Holistic Earth. Your Holistic Earth is a bridge that connects you to local and national experts in the field of holistic medicine. On each episode of this podcast, we're going to bring experts that are going to help you be healthier and have an increased sense of well-being. Now, today we have Mandy, and Mandy is a licensed holistic nutrition practitioner and owner of Pure Vita Nutrition. She specializes in helping clients who struggle with low energy and exhaustion related to chronic stress. And hey, we all know we have just too much stress in our life, so we need all the help that we can get. So Mandy realized her passion for prevention after recovering naturally from postpartum depression without the use of pharmaceutical intervention. So I can't wait to hear all about that. But first of all, Mandy, welcome to Your Holistic Earth podcast.
Thank you so much, Kat. I'm super excited to be here and be chatting with you today.
Awesome. So let's just start. I know I briefly introduced yourself, but I never do justice to all the experts that are coming onto the podcast. So tell me a little bit about what it is that you do for your clients and how do you help them?
Okie dokie. So what I do is the easiest way for me to explain it is to say that I use food like medicine to help people reduce discomfort in their lives. So part of what I experienced and why I got into nutrition is I was experiencing and tolerating a lot of discomfort in my life. I was exhausted. I was overwhelmed. I wasn't sleeping well. I was just really at this place in my life where things weren't going very well. I wasn't thinking very well at that time. And I met a place in my life where I had to make a choice. I had to make a big decision. And that's what got me on the route and got me really curious about nutrition and how what I'm putting in my body, what I'm putting in my stomach even, can really determine how I'm feeling and how I'm showing up each day. And that's why I took supplementary education in it. So I started out as a registered nurse, and I've worked as a registered nurse in acute care and emergency for just over 10 years now, and have really successfully transitioned myself into nutrition just because I find that it helps me really get to the root cause of what's causing discomfort in people's bodies. And so that's what I do in my practice is I help discover that root cause, and then we use holistic nutrition in order to address it and start to reduce the discomfort over time.
So, I'm actually curious. I know there's a lot of listeners that we have tuning in, and some of them might just wonder, what is holistic nutrition versus normal nutrition? Like, how do you define that?
So, what holistic means is the whole body, full circle. It means all of the systems and how they work together. So, that's the word holistic. It's that we address the body as one and all of the parts that are moving together, as opposed to just addressing one piece or part at a time. So, that's a huge difference between holistic and what we would traditionally see in medicine, where diagnostics are really targeted and specific. So that's a holistic part. And then the nutrition part is, once again, it's just what we're putting into our body. So it's our intake. And I really like to discuss that our intake or our diet per se, it's not just what we're eating or drinking. It also has to do with the activities we take part in and the relationships that we dedicate time to. It's also what we put in our mind and how we're thinking. So it really just broadens it and expands it. And so then holistic nutrition put those together. It's a matter of what we're taking in and how that contributes to the whole body and how all of our systems are working together. So it's not just one little piece that we're working with. We kind of take a full view of everything that's going on in the body, and that's how we really kind of get to the bottom of things, because we use spiritual health and physical health and mental health and work with all of those pieces together.
And I absolutely love that, because I'm sick and tired of seeing the ads and reading the newspapers, the one food that you can eat to lose belly fat. It's just so highly targeted, but let's be realistic. You got to start looking at your body as a whole, not as a piece by piece. Just belly fat targeting just one thing is just not going to support your whole lifestyle, right? So I love that. I know that's probably one of the misconceptions, right? That you can eat like a lemon a day and lose 10 pounds around your belly or 5 inches, right? What other misconceptions are there when it comes to holistic medicine and holistic nutrition?
Well, you're right, Kat. There are so many. And honestly, I feel like this is an industry or has been an industry that has set out to essentially confuse people, to be honest. Because when we think about what it takes to be healthy or what we have to do in order to support a healthy lifestyle, there are so many like words and catchphrases that flash into mind. And there is, because they change the trend of eating like pretty much every year. It's like the colors for the season come in, and then it's like, oh, what's the hot macro for this season, right, or this year. And so it can be really confusing. There are a lot of misconceptions, and I would say that one of the biggest things, or one of the biggest misconceptions, is it has to be hard, right? And I think that that's really common, and that's what I hear from a lot of my clients is like, why does it have to be so hard? Or why is healthy food, why doesn't it taste good? Right? Like, and so I think that that's really what I work on addressing, is simplifying and making these healthy lifestyle shifts, making the food taste delicious, right? Like if it's not good, don't eat it. Eat what feels good in your body. So that's really what I work hard to address, because yeah, like you say, there are so many misconceptions and so many buzzwords. Come right down to it. What it takes to lead a healthy lifestyle and serve a healthy body is, number one, sleep. Number two is nutrition. So nutrition that serves your body well, gives your body good building blocks so it can do what it's supposed to do. And thirdly, getting some movement and fresh air in. That's really all it comes down to. So yeah, I don't know. I just like I shift out Dr. Google and throw out all the confusion and go back to the building blocks and the basics, right? Because it really comes down to, what is it that you're actually willing to do and what's going to fit into your lifestyle. One of the experts that I talked to just recently on one of my summits said, do 1% a day instead of like turning a whole 180 and attempting to change everything in your life. 1% a day. And I find that this type of shifting and this type of model really, really works well. Go with the small things first and go with what feels easy for you.
That's awesome. And hey, for those of you who are listening, I'm actually one of Mandy's clients. I worked with her for several months working on my nutrition, and it's done magic for me. I don't know how I would possibly host 3-day events without being able to take care of my body and as a whole. And that's really, imagine standing on the stage for 3 days. I know right now we're doing virtual, but imagine standing on the stage for 3 days in front of people. That's a lot of energy. And the only reason that I can have that energy is because Mandy taught me how to feed my body for that. But I know that some of the listeners might be wondering, what's the first step? I know increasing 1% is awesome, but where should they start? Like, I know for me, we had so many conversations. I was a sugar junkie, and I absolutely, bread is my weakness. So we had many conversations, but let's talk a little bit about that. What's like the first step? What should people look at? What can they focus on?
Okay, well, the first step, honestly, usually my clients, like where they go to in their own mind, kind of gives me a hint on what we should be addressing first. So like yourself, you're like, I eat a lot of sugar, I eat a lot of bread. I think that we need to start with the self-trust of, like, I know what it takes for me to be healthy. I have that intuition in me, and it's built into each of our bodies. It's just a matter of really listening to it and moving forward with it, right? Following through for a little bit longer than just even a week or two will also, it's like consistency over time that really helps to increase the energy and improve the sleep. So listen to yourself and listen to what your intuition is telling you. And then simplify. Like I said, it's a lot easier than you think it's going to be. It doesn't come down to having to eat all of the superfoods all the time, or having to like completely change your diet to the extreme, right? Like I don't usually promote that. What I would promote is whole food. And so when it comes to fueling your body, eat the foods that look as closely to the form that they were grown in as you can. And that's one simple thing that you can start to incorporate, right? So instead of eating the packaged meals or the fast foods or things like that, just look for foods that look very, very close to the form that they were grown in. This is what your body is going to accept and understand as nutrients, and that's what's going to provide building blocks for your body. So start with that first. Don't confuse yourself with all the clutter of numbers and calories and counting and what have you. Just eat the food the way that it's supposed to look and in the form that it's grown in. So that would be one thing that I would say. Look for the fresh foods. And another thing that I would say is really focus on sleep, because I feel like sleep is underappreciated. That's when our body goes through its recovery. Like that's when our body rejuvenates. That's when our body really kind of detoxifies and gets all that junk out that it's been exposed to throughout the day, right? And if we're not leaving enough time for sleep each night for our body to do that process, our energy level is just going to start to drain and drain and drain, right? So really, if you're not able to focus on anything else, just prioritize having enough hours at the end of the day to actually get a good sturdy sleep in. So make sure you're dedicating that 7 to 8 hours at night to sleep. Simplify with whole foods. I would say one more is incorporate like one solid sturdy habit and really get that strong, and then work on the next one. So one of the things that I started with is a loaded smoothie in the morning. I load smoothie with like fruits and vegetables and seeds and all sorts of like healthy fats and things like that. That was one of the best things that I shifted in, because by I would say 8 a.m. in the morning, I know that I have at least like 6 to 8 servings of fruits and vegetables in the day. My body can do a lot with that, even if I do nothing else throughout the rest of the day. So start with something simple like that. Make sure you're getting those grown foods in, and then stay curious about it. Don't beat yourself up. Just stay curious and keep shifting in the directions that make sense to you.
I absolutely love that. Those are such great tips. And it was a huge mindset shift for me as well. Just even knowing that, well, eating well can be delicious. It's just as simple as that. Okay, I'd love to know a little bit more about what makes you the best person to help people. Like, what are the obstacles you had to overcome, or what happened that you were like, I understand how I help people. I understand I can tell you exactly what to do.
Well, yeah, that would be my own unique story, right? I think that we all bring our own unique story to the table. So I want to tell you a little bit about mine, because I touched on it a little bit at the beginning. Although I really like to share my story because I find that a lot of people relate really closely to it. Mine starts kind of with my firstborn. So when I decided that I needed to ask for help and that I needed to make this big decision and this big choice, my family was actually on the line at that time. I remember sitting in my living room one night, and my baby was only a few months old. And I was, like I said, I was exhausted. I was overwhelmed. My mindset wasn't in the right place. I was really negative at that time. And I remember me and my husband, we had just gotten over another fight. We had been fighting a lot at this point in my life. And I remember him looking at me, and like I still had like the tears dried on my face, right? Like it wasn't a very good time. And he just looked at me and he said, you know what, babe, like I love you more than anything. And I really want to be able to support you in this. Although I see that you're not okay, and we're not okay. We're not figuring this out. I think that you need to get professional help. And that was really hard for me to learn, because I was the helper, right? Like I was the mom and I was a nurse at that time. I was really, really used to serving others in their time of need, and I wasn't used to asking for help myself. So leading up to this point, I was working full-time in the hospital, day and night shift. I wasn't really sleeping very well at all. I wasn't looking after myself, and I wasn't giving myself credit and slowing down. With the addition of growing another human, right? Like that takes a lot of energy and it takes a lot of building blocks. And I decided I wasn't going to slow down. I shouldn't have to, right? Like I'm super nurse and super woman, and I can do it all. And so this really got me to a situation where I say that I recovered from postpartum depression, although now I've been referring to it as postpartum depletion. I feel like my body was just completely depleted. And so when I went into my doctor, I have a very good doctor, and he's really good about letting me lead my own healthcare team. And I talked to him in my appointment, and he said, you know what, I can offer you a prescription, although it would require you to stop breastfeeding your son. And so this was my big decision point, because I didn't want to, I didn't want to take that step yet. I didn't feel like it was ready for us. My son was only a few months old. So I asked my doctor, like, are there any steps before this? Like, is there anything else that I could try, something more natural perhaps? And my doctor was at a loss. My doctor just said, you know what, like, I'm sure that you can look into it, although I don't have any resources to direct you towards. And so at that time, I decided to decline his offer for the prescription, just because I wanted to be able to continue my parenting as I had planned. And I just asked my husband for support. And that's what got me really, really curious about what are some complementary things. What are some, is alternative medicine something that could help me, right? So that's what got me really, really curious. So I've been through my own health struggles. My son, my baby, was sick at the time too. So I've been through health struggles with him. I've supported people in healthcare for quite a number of years. And I feel like that's what makes me really unique in offering the service that I do for nutrition, because I know how it feels to be able to switch up what I'm doing and how I'm serving my body, and to get results from that. It didn't take very long for me to gain my energy back once I started prioritizing sleep, and once I determined which building blocks my body was missing. It didn't take very long for my body to step in and start recovering, right? So I've been through the journey myself, and then also being able to couple my experience in the healthcare industry. And one of the primary things that I did as a nurse was assessment. I assess people. I ask them about their health situation, right? What's going on in their body, and I help them to figure out and navigate what needs to be done next in order for them to release that discomfort. And so that experience is something that I can carry over into the nutrition world, and something that you think maybe isn't that big of a deal when it happens in your body. If you tell it to me, I can understand what your body's asking for, because I'm well versed in the language. So I feel like that's what really sets me apart, is I'm kind of a bridge between healthcare and complementary medicine. And I have a really good understanding of both backgrounds.
And, from my experience, I know for a fact that paying for someone to support you through your journey, paying for someone to listen to what's happening with you, your body, and telling you exactly what steps to take next is really invaluable. The change that you have created for me is, well, I just can't describe it, because really it changed the way I live my life forever. And it taught me that food can be delicious. It taught me an amazing ways to implement good food in my life, but also that my body is possible of so much more than I thought ever was possible. And so for those who want to connect with you, where can they find you?
They can find me, best place to find me is actually on my website. So then that's the best way to connect with me and know what's going on there. I always have seasonal plans that are running. I do group meal plans, which are awesome. And so like the latest plan that's up and running is always going to be on my webpage. So that's the best way to connect with me. And go to the show notes, because there's quite a number of ways that you can reach me. That website is www.puravitainspires.com.
Awesome. Again, thank you so much for coming on, for sharing your brilliance. I absolutely love talking about food, because I'm a foodie, and now I know that food can not only be delicious, but also help me live a better life. Make sure to connect with Mandy. Check out her recipes. They're absolutely delicious. You'd be surprised what foods that you can eat every day you can make taste amazing. I know I was. And make sure to check out other episodes of Your Holistic Earth podcast, and look into joining Your Holistic Earth. It doesn't cost anything. You can connect to other experts just as brilliant as Mandy over at profitableimpactacademy.com/YHE. And we'll see you in the next episode. Again, thank you, Mandy, for coming on.
Thanks so much, Kat. This was fun.